Hi, everybody. We're glad to see you today.
Welcome. I'm just typing.
We're going to hang out here for just a minute or two as people start filtering into the event, and we'll be admitting them as we go. But just to sort of get going on things, would you all kind of take a second and let us know what major you are and what year you are so that we can sort of understand who's in the room? Take a second and do that.
Feel free to drop things in the chat. Also, if you have access to scan the QR code, fill out the QR code. If not, I put the link in the chat as well if you are on your phone and accessing the meeting today through your phone. If you can please sign in, that'd be really helpful to me. I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we'd like y'all to warm your, there we go. We have a
Jose
major. Great.
Nice. Economics major, junior. That's awesome. Are you going into your junior year? Is that what probably you're going into your third year right now? Is what I'm assuming. And then Sarah, fourth year econ and communication. Okay, double major. That's awesome. A lot of econ majors, like econ and accounting, second year, going to your senior year, microbiology and French. That's awesome. That's a really unique major combination. Freshman econ and accounting. I love that. Lots of econ, lots of accounting. Great opportunity for enterprise. So, we'll talk about that.
So it's about 2 minutes after the hour. So I'm going to go ahead and start the official program. So I'm going to take a second and I'd like to welcome everybody. We're so glad you're here. This is the third and final event in our Summer Prep with the Pro series, and we are here with a special friend from Enterprise Mobility who's going to talk about interviewing and interview tips, preparation, and strategies. So Jasmine, in just a minute, I'm going to hand the reins over to you. But before we get started, I want to do a couple of things. Number one, I kind of want to explain what the Prep with the Pro series is all about. And it's a 3-part series that we offer each quarter, including the summer, as this is. And it focuses on resumes and cover letters, and then networking, and then interviewing. And so, as you know, we're here doing the interviewing workshop. But these are all employer-led because we've heard from students that you guys really like hearing it from the people who are doing the hiring. So here we are. We've got a great employer very interested in gauchos. Here to talk about interviews. And anyway, so it's going to be a great program. I even know you're going to get a lot out of it. But I also want to say we are starting on getting the fall series going. So in just a couple of minutes, I'm going to drop 2 links in the chat, which is for our networking and our interviewing programming that's taking place in the fall. And that will be Skechers will be talking about networking on Tuesday, October the 15th at 11 a.m. It'll be virtual. And then the Smithsonian is going to be talking about interviewing on Tuesday, October 22nd, also at 11. So I'm going to throw those in the chat in just a minute. I can't multitask, but I'll do that in just a second. And then I'm going to just hand it right over to Jasmine to take it over. But one thing before we do that, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this place and all land upon which the university and we as individuals are located. We pay our respects to the Native elders, past, present, and future, for they hold the memories, the traditions, and the culture of these areas, which have become a place of learning for people from all over the world. If you know whose Native community or community's land you are on, please reflect upon that and pay respect to them. If you don't, please take some time to research, pay your respect, and share with the people around you. So now I am so happy to introduce Jasmine Cardenas. She's a talent acquisition specialist with Enterprise Mobility, and she is going to be talking about interviewing. And I'm going to go off camera, but be here in case anything is needed.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you so much for having me, especially here. My name is Jasmine Cardenas. I am the talent acquisition specialist here for Southern California. I am actually specific here to San Diego territory, but I'm helping out today. I'm helping out with DC Santa Barbara, so I'm super excited to be here and talk to you. Hopefully you have a good some quarter coming up, and hopefully you get straight A's. I'm wishing a 4.0 for everyone. Um, but today I want to talk about interview prepping. This is super important, especially with career fair season coming up. Hopefully you're reaching out for internships. Maybe you can do, maybe for those that are fourth years that are getting ready to graduate, start looking for a position after graduation. Interview prep is going to be super important. So I definitely want to talk a little bit about that. Again, for those that have joined on a little bit later, if you can do me a favor, scan the QR code if you haven't done so already. If you have not, I'll have the QR code later on in the presentation as well. That way you can get credit for being here today. So I want to talk about the different types of interviews that we have with just in general with anyone that does interviews. We have screening interviews that are usually 15-20 minute interviews, typically done on the phone. We have phone interviews as well. Phone interviews tend to be about 30 minutes or so, just a quick phone call, one-on-one interview where maybe you're in person just talking to the direct hire or the direct hiring manager. Panel interviews are very popular as well, where you are talking to a panel, maybe 3 or 4 interviewers. Peer group interview sounds really big, like for those that are RAs. I know typically they do a lot of peer group interviews where it's maybe someone that has been an RA in the past or that's also student driven. Luncheon interviews where it's more of a lunch type of interaction, a little more casual. Second interviews, we do third interviews with enterprise, so we have second and third interviews. Virtual interviews, that's typically what I do. I do like a virtual screening interview, and then video interviews as well, where you record yourself while you're interviewing. So there's different types of interviews that are conducted when we do these interviews. So prepping for the interview, this is the first thing we always talk about, right? It's what are you going to wear to the interview? Are you going to dress up in a t-shirt and jeans, or are you going to wear a full suit? I always say, regardless of what a position you're applying for and regardless of where you're going to, always look great, always look neat and organized. Make sure that your clothing's clean and pressed, not wrinkled. You want to be professional. Your hair, want to make sure that it's brushed out and not matted, or if you have long hair, making sure that it's actually groomed or maybe tied back. That's the best image, regardless of whatever position it's going to be. If you're applying even for like a fast food position, you want to make sure you're going to be neat and professional, especially if you're dealing with food. If you're looking for like a business type of position, definitely being groomed is going to be the best way to show yourself. Think conservative. I always think conservative. Wear a suit. Be careful of like the trends. I know like with males, it's a little bit easier because you can just wear a button up top and a jacket and you're pretty much good to go. With females, a lot of the trends and like the work wear, making sure nothing's too short or too exposed at the top, making sure that you're conservative, right? That's, I think, the best image you can put on. With earrings or piercings, I know some companies have a certain stigma when it comes to certain facial piercings. If you have like your nose pierced and it's a small piercing, that should be more of like lips or your this part pierced, maybe hide that just for the interview purpose, and then you can maybe discuss that with the hiring managers regarding if it's allowed in the position where you're going to be working. Perfect. So now prepping for the virtual interview. So let's say you do have a virtual interview. Make sure that the setting is staged correctly. For Diana and I, we have virtual backgrounds. For me, I have my enterprise background that I have on there. Sometimes if I'm in my home office, then I will have my house showing, but I make sure that it's clean, that there's nothing, I set it to make sure that it's free from anything distracting, I would say. If you're in an office, that's great, but I would at least try to blur your background regardless of where you're at. Make sure you are set in a quiet setting with no distractions. Make sure that there's good lighting. You don't want to put it somewhere where it's dark and you can't even see yourself. Um, avoid clutter again. Just put a virtual background if you don't have the cleanest setting. Test your technology first. So even for me, we were here for 15 minutes beforehand, making sure that my background was working, making sure that my PowerPoint and my share screen was working, and your audio was working as well. So make sure you test your technology. I would say about 15 to 20 minutes beforehand, just to make sure that there's nothing causing a delay in the interview. Make sure you're dressed well in these pictures. I know it shows the top portion that's dressed up and the bottom portion's not, a little more relaxed and casual. Just make sure the part that you are going to be showing is dressed and professional as well. Position your camera accordingly. Definitely don't want the screen to be only on certain parts of your camera, especially if you're on your phone. Try to stay away from being on your phone. Try to be more on your computer. But make sure that you're positioned in the center. The name or the title of your name isn't in the way of your face as well. So just make sure that you test that beforehand. Yeah. So what you want to do, or I guess the part what not to do, is make sure that you're not dressed professional, or make sure that just make sure you're dressed professional. What not to do would be maybe being on your camera when you're not supposed to be, having that background noise, or being in a very busy setting. If you do your interview like in a coffee shop where it's always busy and loud, try to avoid that. Awesome. So before the interview, you want to research the company. Let's say you are applying for something like enterprise. Try to know the company a little bit, do your research, and not only just for the interview portion, but just to make sure it's what you want to do as well. I think the best advice I can give you is make sure that it's a work culture that you want to be part of, not just applying to it because it's a position that's open. So do your research on the company, look for things that are important to you, get a job description of the company, and have a resume that's focused on that position. I always tell people to focus your resume, use keywords that are in the job description as well. That's going to be the best way for us to be able to see if you're a good fit. If I'm looking for customer service position or sales type of experience necessary for this role, then I will look for a resume that has any keywords highlighting customer service or sales. If it doesn't, then I usually will ask the candidate, and then they have to go back and explain to me why they think that their position is valid for their experience is valid for this position. So I always just recommend taking a look at the at your keywords that you have in your resume, make sure that it's updated. Also, when I do research, I would say try to research, when you're researching positions, I would say try to look up the founding values as well. If there's something that you like, for us, we have enterprise or a foundation where we do a lot of like philanthropy and giving back to the community. I always try to do something. I always like when candidates refer back to that because it shows that you care more than just the company and the position itself. Cool. So besides researching the company, know yourself as well. What are your skills, your strengths, your values, your weaknesses? What are some things that you bring to the table, right? You want to make sure you highlight your strengths. If someone asks you about your weaknesses, talk about what you have worked on and how it's a weakness, but now it's a strength, or how you've gotten, or how you've highlighted and recognized your weaknesses, and your strengths as well as your skills, right? What are your accomplishments and achievements? I ask a question regarding a goal that you've had and how you were able to achieve that goal. I love when someone has goals already accomplished and they're able to give me step-by-step instructions on how that was recognized. Don't think of it as bragging. Think of it as you highlighting yourself, because you are selling yourself in an interview. What are your character, personality, or personal traits? What do you bring to the table? I love being positive. I like being outgoing. I will talk about that in the interviews all the time. That's something that I know myself. I know my characteristics, and I know how that can be applied towards a job. What's your education and training and your employment history? A lot of the times too, I know I saw some biology majors out there. Maybe there's certain courses that you took or certifications. A lot of economics majors as well, and accounting. You have to have certain skill sets in order for you to be able to get the position that you're looking for. So make sure you have that listed. If it's not listed in your resume, talk about that. What are your goals? Again, that kind of goes hand in hand with the accomplishments, achievements, but knowing your goals. What transferable skills are listed in your resume? So again, if you have certain skills that you learned in one position that you have, how are you going to be able to translate that into the next position? Okay. So now, prepping for the interview, what you want to do, you want to practice. Arrive early to the location, whether you arrive early somewhere or you log in a little bit early. Make sure that you are getting there at least 10-15 minutes early. If it's an in-person interview that you're doing, if you're doing an in-person interview, try to find the location day beforehand, just to make sure that you find the location, know where it's at. If it's on a certain floor of a big building, try to get there a little bit early. That way you're not lost. Check for, bring copies of your resume. So make sure you print them out. I would say print 5 to 10 copies. You never know. If it's a panel interview, you don't know how many people are going to be there. If it's a one-on-one interview, at least you have copies of your resume for the next interview. Check for fresh breath if you're doing an in-person interview. Remember to smile. Always smile, be yourself, show your personality. We don't want someone that's going to be dry. We want someone that's going to really emphasize themselves and show their personality. Develop and use a firm handshake. I think that goes a long way too. We don't want someone that's going to shake our hand and not be confident. And accentuate the positive. Talk about your positives, talk about everything that you've done, and make sure that you talk about your positives. If someone's asking about your negatives or something that didn't go the way you planned, we want to know about how you were able to fix the situation or solve the solution. So the don'ts: you don't want to arrive late. You don't want to talk too much. You don't want to ramble. Don't chew gum. Take a mint instead if you want something to chew on. Don't use inappropriate language. I think that one's big. A lot of people get really comfortable in the interview and think that it's okay to say certain things. Don't bring a cell phone into the interview. I know that's not something that you can really prevent, but I think if you put your phone on DNR or do not disturb, put it away. Don't take it out for any reason. Don't look at your watch. If you have an Apple Watch, hopefully you're not on your watch as much, or hopefully you're not checking it. And then don't assume that anyone that you meet isn't important. I always say, even the gate, if there's someone at the front gate for you that lets you in, if you pull up, if you're driving and you're rude to them, they're gonna tell the hiring manager. You never know who is who, even a janitor that might be around. Be nice to everyone. Be very, just be kind to everyone, I guess I would say, in the interview setting. You're there not just from the moment that you walk into that person's office, but your interviewing starts as soon as you step on the property. So the interview itself, you want to make a good impression, right? I think the whole point of the interview is to make a good impression. Presentation's everything. So smile if you can, offer a firm handshake, be of the nonverbal or verbal communication as well. So make sure you're always smiling, make sure you're positive, having that handshake, having good posture as well. You don't want to interview when you're relaxed or when you have your arms crossed or show any type of like negative body language. Deliver and have animation. I use my hands a lot when I talk, so that kind of shows, maybe hold that to a limit, but show that you're animated. Have a presentation of ideas as well. Show your ideas, talk about you and what you've done, and have great grammar and vocabulary. Hopefully your resume already has good grammar and vocabulary. but making sure that when you speak, you're not speaking with like slang or street talk, making sure that it's professional. Cool. So turning negatives into positives, we talked about this a little bit, but a lot of times employers will be on the lookout for flaws. So avoid making your negative impressions and focus on skills that fit the position. So when discussing negatives, put a positive spin to it. For example, if someone asks you about something bad that happened, maybe you're helping a customer that was upset. We don't want to know that you had to kick the customer out. We want to know a situation where you were able to make a customer go from being upset to being a returning customer and being happy. That's really what we're looking for. We're looking for your problem solving in these questions. So we have different types of interviews that we do. The behavioral based interview is the interview that we do. So we are, so a behavioral based interview is more of us asking of things that you've done in the past, not necessarily things that you have done or that you will be doing in the future. Those are more situational questions. We ask behavioral based because we want to know how you were able to problem solve. We want to know what you've done in the past to make it better. So the benefit to this is we get to see if you'd be a great match, if you match the competencies that we're looking for, because we were able to ask you a question of something you've done in the past. Avoid talking about your future plans or what you would do given being in a situation. Talk about only about things that you've done in the past and give examples, very specific examples. Cool. So for example, let's see, when we're asking a question, for example, we'll say, can you tell me about a time where you held a leadership position? How did you motivate your team members? Notice how it's an open-ended question. We want to know what leadership position you're in. If you were in a organization like ASI or in a sorority or fraternity, tell me about the leadership position that you held. Tell me about you leading the team and if we ask, can you tell me about a time where you had to handle a challenging customer? Same thing too. We're looking for a specific example of this. We're looking for, it might sound a little bit negative because yes, you may have a challenging customer, but we want to know how you were able to fix the situation. So this is why it's a behavioral interview, because we want to know what you've done in the past and how you're able to fix that problem. So for the interview, also, how to answer behavioral questions. So you want to avoid saying like, I'm the best in sales or people love me because I have a great personality. That's not answering the question. We talk about the STAR method. I don't know. Has anyone heard about the STAR method? I don't know if you have or not. The STAR method is how, thumbs up from Diana. The STAR method is how we ask the questions and how we want to answer. So it stands for situation, task, action, and result. So in this question, when we're asking about what was the last one? In the last one, we talked about, tell me about a time where you had a leadership position and how did you motivate your teams? We want to answer it in the STAR method. So I want to know about the situation. So what were you in? Let's say you were an RA on campus. Let's say the situation was that there was an incident and they needed you to help resolve the problem. The task is what you're going to do. Maybe you had to talk to the right person, the right supervisor to get the situation taken care of. Let's say there was a water leak. I don't know, I'm just making something up. If there's a water leak, they call the RA on duty. You're the RA duty. Your job is to fix the water leak. Tell me about the task that you had to take. Who did you have to call? The plumber? Did you have to call the right management supervisor to fix the situation? How were you able to do that? The action steps taken. Okay, you called the plumber, you got the plumber out, and you were able to fix the situation. The result in the end, the resident was happy, there was no more water leaking anywhere, and everyone's grateful that you were able to solve the problem. That's the organization that we want. We want you to keep it very brief. I would say about 2 to 3 minutes each answer for you to get a full answer given. Silence is okay. So if you have to take a minute to pause, or if the if the interviewer isn't saying anything after your question, it's okay. For me, I type a lot, so I'm typing all the answers given. It doesn't mean that you answered the question correctly or incorrectly. It just means that we're gathering our final thoughts. And you always want a positive result. Again, let's say you have an example in mind that wasn't fixed. Don't use that example. Use an example that was fixed. If it was going back to the RA question, if you are answering a question where the resident was upset because with their roommate and you weren't able to resolve the problem with the roommates and the roommates had to move away from each other, that's not solving the problem. But if you're solving the problem by telling me that you were able to get the sink fixed because the water was leaking and you called the plumber and got it taken care of, that's a positive result. So always make sure that these questions end in a positive result. So the close, you went through the interview questions. We asked you everything necessary. Now you're ready to close. Be prepared with questions. I would try to have at least 2 to 3 questions lined up. Don't go over and ask too many questions. Try to ask more than one question just to show your interest and make sure that this is the right fit for you as well. You can talk about why did you choose to work for this company? As an interviewer, interviewers love talking about themselves. They love talking about why they love the company, and they're really there to help you to help sell the position a little bit more too. So I think knowing someone's personal opinion about the company and why they're there, why they've been there for so long, really emphasizes that on the interview standpoint. How would you describe your company culture? I think company culture is huge, especially with the newer generations. They want to work somewhere where they're going to be in a great environment. And we want to make sure that it's something for you as well. If you're a hard worker and want to work in a hardworking culture, totally fine. If you are maybe more focused on making friends at work, maybe that's what you're looking for. But this question really just kind of locks in what you're looking for as well. What is the natural career progression for employees with my skill set? So, I mean, for us at Enterprise, we're looking for someone that's entry level, looking to progress their career, and I'll talk about that a little. Definitely want something that's going to have that upward mobility. Hopefully, it's something that where you can learn and really get that knowledge that you're looking for. Make sure that you completely understand the position. It's okay if you don't understand the position yet. That's what we're there for. That's what the first initial interview is for. You can ask questions regarding the position and what you're going to do every day. You can also ask about a question like maybe ask what's a day in the life of being in this role. That's totally okay. Make sure you add anything that you would like to, like maybe there's something that you forgot to add about yourself. Make sure you add that in there in the interview. The close I think is huge. Do a strong closing, kind of like an in conclusion paragraph. Just give us a little bit about yourself. If you have a cover letter or your resume, just highlight as key skills that you didn't really maybe talk about during the interview portion and explain why you're the best candidate for this role. I think a strong close really makes that difference. There's been times where I don't fully think that a candidate might have the proper competencies that we're looking for, but in the closing, they really highlight why they want the position. They highlight why they're the best candidate. And a lot of times that's changed my mind because they've had a really strong close. Be bold, consider asking them if there's any concerns that you might have regarding my ability to do this position. So if they are concerned, hey, you know what, I don't think you have the right sales skills, we will tell you. If there's something that's maybe a concern, a lot of times us as the interviewer will call you back and explain, hey, you know, I think you had a great interview. These are some key things that we may be missing. If they say we got everything we needed, don't think that's a good or bad thing. Just that might be something you might want to consider, especially again, read the body language, kind of see how the interview went. If so, it usually gives you another opportunity to address the problem and make sure like you sell yourself. Ask for the next step in the interview process as well. So express your interest, let them know that you really want this position, ask them what the next steps are, maybe ask for a timeline. Like let's say they will get back to you in 3 to 5 business days. totally fine. If it takes a little bit longer, you know, it's always great. That way you can follow up if you need to follow up. I've had people follow up with me the next day. That's not really ideal. It usually takes a little bit longer for us to make a decision. But if we say 3 to 5 days and you notice it's been about 7 days and haven't heard back, feel free to send an email to the recruiter or to the hiring manager. They should be able to that is okay. It's not frowned upon, I'd say. Thank them for their time. Definitely thank them for being there. Regardless of whether you want the position or not, thank them for your time. So that should be in your strong close. The follow-up. So going into the follow-up, send them a thank you email or a thank you note. I personally really like it. A lot of times the employers won't respond back to the thank you email or thank you note. Some employers legally cannot do that. So don't take offense if they don't respond back to you. We do read them and we do really appreciate them. Maybe follow up by phone if you have a phone number. Maybe reach out to the recruiter or reach out to the hiring manager if they don't send out a note. Some companies like Enterprise, for example, sends out a rejection note regardless of, I mean, if you don't get the position, we do send out a rejection note. Some companies don't do that. It's you can always follow up if they don't do that, just to make sure that you know whether you're in progress or not still. Let's say you get 1, 2, 3 offers. Hopefully you do, right? Hopefully you have some choices to make. Know your value. This is where you know, okay, multiple companies want me. I know that I'm what they're looking for. You have a lot of offers. Totally fine. I think that's great if you do. But just know, let's say you're debating on different companies. Know that there's more to the pay than just the salary. Maybe you really like the company culture of one location, but would get paid more with the other. Let's try to see what's in it for you long term. With Enterprise, we may not pay the most right away, but we want you to earn your way and make your way up into the company. We want you to earn that pay scale. Some companies may start you off very high, but that's all you can make in those 5 years or 10 years even. With Enterprise, we build that career path. So some people understand that. Some people want the big lump sum of money right then and there. It just really varies depending on you and what you're looking for long term. Consider the career path as well. I'll talk about our career path in a little bit, but consider whatever position you're applying for. I know there's a bio major out there. Try to see if maybe they have, try to see if maybe the lab that you may be applying to, or if you're going to medical school, whatever it may be, just make sure it has the career path that you're looking for yourself. If you're okay being in the same entry level for many years to come, fine by me, totally fine. I think a lot of people want progress and they want some type of growth and not just be in that entry level position long term. So try to consider yourself and see what upward mobility there is. Prioritize what's important to you. Again, this is about you in this case. You have offers. This is where you make the choice based off of what you want to do. So make sure you prioritize what's important to you in this sense. It's okay to, let's say, going back to the interview portion, let's say you're going through the interview, the position's not for you. Maybe you read it and you thought it was great, but maybe once you were in there, you realize it's not for you. It's okay to say that it's not for you. It's okay for you to self-select out of the process in this case, but just make sure it's important to you. Keep the line of communication open with the recruiter as well. So for me, I love it when candidates will call me, telling me what's going on, that there's a different offer on the table. We want to know if you're interviewing with other companies. Excuse me. We want to know if you're interviewing with other companies. So make sure that there's that open line of communication, because if you're not telling us anything and we don't hear back from you for about 3 days or so because you're interviewing with a different company, but we don't know that, we're automatically going to assume that you're ghosting us and you no longer want to be part of the process. So we will reach out to the next candidate. So make sure you have that open line of communication with us. And give us a realistic expectation of when make a decision. Let's say we offer you a position, but a different company offers you, but they're not going to get back to you for another 3 days or so. Let us know. If it's going to be a week or two, that's probably not ideal, but if it's going to be about 3 days, we will definitely give you time to make that decision. So additional thoughts, use the career center on campus. I think working with like Diana in the short time that we've had it, she knows for sure that or I know for sure that UC Santa Barbara's career center is great to use as a resource. They talk to the counselors, talk to a lot of the employers. We're able to have that strong line of communication. So they're able to really tell you what a good company may be to work for. Practice mock interviews. Again, your resources that you have on campus, they will do mock interviews with you. They'll give you feedback. Sorry about that. Networking, connect with us on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn if you'd like. But if you connect with employers on LinkedIn, usually we can give you some insight and talk to you if you have questions. Preparing for the interview is definitely the most important thing. Take notes, take your time, really go through the website of the company. If it's an in-person job, try to see if you can shadow a little bit, try to see what the processes are like. A lot of companies really find that what's the word I'm looking for? Impressive. So if you do your research, we will know that you did your research. If you're having technical difficulties, inform the recruiter. If it's a virtual interview and you can't find the link to the interview, let us know beforehand. Please email us. Please let us know. The last thing we want is for us to think that you didn't show up to the interview and you're 15 minutes late all of a sudden. Then we have to reschedule. Again, don't ghost the recruiting or hiring managers. You have no idea how many times we've interviewed someone, they ghost us, and then months down the road, hey, I'm interested in getting back into the process. That's not what we want. We're not ideally looking for someone that's going to ghost us, because it just tells us that your communication is not there. So as an employee, you're probably not going to have the same communication with us. Maybe if you call off and not tell us that you're calling off, it's going to be a problem. So we don't see that as the best thing. And so make sure you don't ghost the recruiter. And that is all that I have for the interview portion. I'm going to talk about enterprise now. So I want to tell you a little bit about what the company is. Enterprise Mobility. You may not recognize the logo. This is our new logo, this blue with the E, Enterprise Mobility. We want to focus a little bit more on what we have to offer rather than just Enterprise Rent-A-Car. A lot of people know us as Enterprise Rent-A-Car, but we also own National, Alamo. We have a fleet management company, a truck rental company. We also sell cars with Enterprise. We have our exotic line. We have Integral, which is our like computer IT division that we have our own company that we use to help with our computer systems and all that good stuff as well. So there's a lot of lines to Enterprise, not just renting cars. We're located in 90 different countries and territories. So we're all over the world. We are franchised in certain parts of the world, but for the most part in Canada, USA, and most parts of Europe, we are all owned by the same family. So we're a privately owned company. We're not public in any sense. We have about almost 10,000 global branches also. Here in Southern California alone, I would say we have close to 200 branches just in Southern California. So Enterprise Holdings, we have over 300 makes and models within our company. So anything from a Nissan Versa to a Ferrari, like we have all different makes and models of cars. In the US alone, we have 5,700 plus branches and airport locations as well. We have, again, about 10,000 global branches, 90 different countries. We have about 2.1 million vehicles globally. So we have the most vehicle fleet in all of the mobility companies or any other vehicles in the car industry. So we're huge. We're the number 7 privately owned company. We are really big. You wouldn't expect that from a company like Enterprise, but the more you look into it, the more you realize why. We're a $30 billion company as well. So just this last year alone, I think we've created $3 billion in revenue. So we're closer to $33 billion now, which is huge. I mean, that's a lot of money. This is Jack Taylor. He is our founder. So we actually got the name of Enterprise because our founder, Jack Taylor, served on the USS Enterprise when he was in the Navy. So he believes that taking care of your customers' employees first, growth and profits will follow after, which is very true. We are recognized. There is one tag that I forgot on there, but we are recognized in 2024 for being one of our female hiring. We got an award by Forbes for being recognized for being one of the best. Also for diversity. We have a really good internship program as well. So what is a management trainee and what are you doing? So we have an entry-level position with Enterprise. Anyone who has a bachelor's degree can apply for the management trainee role. You'll learn about sales, business development, financial analysis, management skills, computer service skills, fleet control and maintenance, and then entrepreneurship. So you're learning about operations, sales, management, and we only promote internally. So anyone who's a manager with Enterprise, who has been a manager with Enterprise, starts off as a management trainee. We have an internship available. So anyone that's in their senior year that is graduating no later than June 2025, you can apply for the internships. So let me know and I can connect you with the director or with the recruiter for the internships. But we are currently all you have to do is be in your senior year. It can be any major. We don't specify to whatever major. You have to have at least 6 months of experience in sales, customer service, leadership, or management. It's a paid internship. We pay you roughly about $19.75 per hour, depending on where you live. It's about 15 to 35 hours per week. So it's only part-time, and it's typically about 10 weeks or so. So it's no later than 90 days being in this internship. And all we need is a valid driver license since you do drive vehicles. For the management trainee, it's almost all the same, except you do require a bachelor's degree to be in a full-time position. You get paid anywhere from $55,000 to $57,000 per year. It's about 46-hour work week. You can get promoted and move up, and you can make bonuses depending on if you have car sales or employee referrals as well. For this position, we do require a California driver's license. This is the career path that we have with the company. So anyone starts off as a management trainee can grow their way into management. So you can go into the assistant manager position, branch manager position. For me, I went into the HR human resources position. You can go into business to business sales. For those of you that are into finance, you can go into being a business manager or a finance manager. So those are really good opportunities for you to move up into as well. But there's really no end to growth within this company. I think it's awesome that it's very unique because most companies will hire, if they have to hire a business manager, they'll usually go externally to go internally. We will teach you everything from the inside out. Perfect. So that was pretty much all that I had. So my name is Jasmine Cardenas. I am the recruiter, one of the recruiters here in Southern California. My co-worker, my colleague, Carissa, she is the recruiter specifically for UC Santa Barbara. If you would like to connect with us, I would definitely connect with us via LinkedIn. If you're looking to stay in the Santa Barbara area after graduation, connect with Carissa. If any of you want to move to San Diego, you can come down to connect with me. Or if you're from San Diego and just going to school up there and want to move back down, definitely more than happy to. But if you have any questions, please let me know. Diana, I don't know if there's anyone on the chat that has any questions in there, or if anyone wants to kind of just ask questions, we definitely have some time.
Well, right now I don't see any questions in the chat, but students, I really encourage you to ask your questions because we have a recruiter here who really knows her stuff. So yeah, and I want to say thank you to you, Jasmine, for stepping in today, and for Enterprise being so supportive at UCSB, because You guys are a very generous company. You're involved in with us at all different levels, and we're just so thankful. And I understand you hire quite a few UCSB students, and they move up the ranks. And this is an opportunity to learn everything professionally, but then also be kind of entrepreneurial as you're going through this, and almost run your own business. So it's so much more than what you just think on the surface when you think of car rentals and that kind of thing. It truly is a different kind
Oh
of.
yeah, 100%. I think I, I never thought I went to school to be to work in a car rental company. And once I started working for enterprise, I realized how much more you do, how much you are working in the back end, learning about finances, learning about how to make more money, how to drive revenue. And the surface level is it's fast regardless of what someone has worked in before. If you're interested in business, this is the perfect opportunity to go into.
Right. Well, students, Jasmine is here. If you have any questions about interview preparation, strategies, the STAR method, which is something that the Career Center promotes regularly. And can I add real quickly that your Career Center is a place you all should be going, because we are really well equipped to help you with all these different professional development questions. We do have something called Big Interviews. So this is a virtual interviewing program where you can actually take interviews online and go back and practice and practice and practice the different parts of an interview, the questions you might answer, and you can review it and really elevate your skills where interviewing is concerned. We also have resume support and opportunities to talk with either other students or professional staff members about your various questions. So there's a whole lot in the Career Center, which I hope you all will avail yourself of. And we do have a question. You want me to read it to you from Garrett here?
Yeah.
I can read it. I can read it if you'd like.
Go for it. Great. Thanks, Garrett.
Uh-huh. Sorry, my camera isn't quite working right now. So basically, I've got a lot of messages from recruiters here on the Handshake platform, and I'm trying to decide sort of which ones I want to approach to try getting an interview, since I've just gotten like a flood of them and it's a little bit overwhelming. But I'm worried that it seems like I'm ghosting them if I don't really know which ones to pursue further yet. So like, what would be some good ways to handle that so I don't seem like rude?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And just think, I mean, even if you are like a student still and you're waiting to maybe graduate, maybe get a little bit more experience. I've had students that will reach out to me months later, and just the same way that you get a lot of emails, a lot of us are reaching out to a lot of students too. So I would see it more as like I would just say like, I'm so sorry for the delay. I was, getting I was trying to really get a full understanding of your company. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? Maybe arrange like a career chat. I will have career chats a lot of the times with a lot of the candidates, and I think it's a really good way for me to get a basic like surface level introductory with them and get to know a little bit more what they're looking for and what our company entails, rather than you just deciding like, okay, yes, I want to apply and go for it. You can always try to see if a recruiter will take the time to talk to you and have a chat beforehand, just to give you a better understanding.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that should help me narrow it down a little bit. Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully that works. And yes, there's a lot of companies out there. Definitely Google and definitely research to see what the best option is going to be for you. Especially if it's something in one industry and something in a completely different industry. Take a look through Glassdoor and see what other candidates or what other employees have done in the past when they work there. If it's a smaller company, they should be able to arrange a like career chat.
Cool. Yeah.
Right. And Handshake, you should also be able to get or see pretty quickly or pretty easily the profile of the company. So if you're getting these requests from different companies, you can at least get a cursory overview of what the company does. But then there's also a link to their website, so you can dive a little deeper, make sure that there's some kind of reasonable connection between your interests and the interests of the company. Yeah. So hopefully there's a lot of good resources right at your fingertips on Handshake.
Also, think of it like use the Career Center also. Most of everyone who is on Handshake has to get approved to be on Handshake. So it's not like LinkedIn where it's random companies that might be spam. It's someone that's legit that works with multiple campuses. A lot of times we're there in person too. So like you'll meet my counterpart Carissa, you'll meet her at the career fairs, so take the time to really get to know them at the career fairs as well. Even those that aren't seniors or haven't graduated yet, I've known people that are sophomores getting to their senior year, and now I know them well enough to get them it's a little bit easier because I know them on a first name basis. I know them a little bit more. It's always the same recruiters typically that's there, so talk to people at the career fair as well.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah,
No.
students, any other questions for Jasmine? All right, we have a quiet group today.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for everyone that's still on. I really appreciate everyone taking the time to get to know Enterprise. Hopefully you got some good information, and best of luck for everyone that's going through interviewing.
Well, thank you again, Jasmine, and we so appreciate yours and Enterprise's partnership with UCSB. We truly are grateful.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. Have a great day.
All right, take care all.